When people talk about the permanent fund, they're usually referring to two separate accounts, the principal and the income, which is kept in the earnings reserve. That's where the PFD comes from. Money for the principal comes from oil and deposits the legislature makes, mostly to protect it from losing value to inflation. Both parts of the fund are in a variety of investments. At the end of every year, the Permanent Fund Corporation looks at how much they made or lost. Usually, the investments make money, and first, each fund gets back what they put in. Then, the earnings reserve gets any return the investment earned above that. So net gains help it grow, but don't directly benefit the principal. It's only happened once, but what about a year when the fund sees a loss and there are no earnings? In that case, the money that's left still gets divided up between the principal and the earnings reserve, in proportion to their relative sizes. The earnings reserve could make up that loss later on if investments start doing better and earn money in subsequent years, but the principal wouldn't, unless of course the legislature voted to transfer money into it. The principal can only be invested, not spent. That's in the state constitution. The legislature can vote to spend the earnings reserve any way they want, but politicians have been afraid of the backlash from voters concerned about spending the fund that pays for dividends. So in the past, they've only spent it on a few things: dividends, managing the fund and its investments, and depositing some of the fund's earnings into the principal. This year, the legislature decided to use some of it for the operating budget for the first time. The next question: how much to withdraw? Historically, withdrawals for dividends looked at the average income over the past 5 years and used half of that. This year, instead of using income to decide how much to withdraw, the legislature looked at the total value of the two accounts combined, averaged over 5 years, and decided to withdraw about 5% of that average value. The whole withdrawal still has to come out of the earnings reserve. They're just using the average total value of the fund to determine the amount of that withdrawal. Some of the overall amount will go to dividends and some to the state operating budget. The legislature didn't make a rule about how much goes to each. They actually didn't change the dividend formula in the law that calculates the PFD, although they voted the last couple of years to set dividends lower than that calculated amount. So what will happen in future years? No one knows for sure. The changes they made so far in 2018 only address the total amount to withdraw, not how much to spend on dividends or government operations.